I greet you, beloved of God. It's another beautiful week that God has blessed us with. We thank Him for our lives. We thank Him for His presence, His grace He has made to abound with us. For His mercies He has made to engulf us, and His love, His faithfulness. We say we are so grateful and we appreciate Him for being our God and having us as His children. I thank you also for making time with me this day and this week. Today we are going to look at a message and a topic that I've titled The Church and the Yeast.
We're going to protect Christianity, and I can say that. I don't have to be politically correct, or we're going to protect it.
Now, in Matthew chapter 13, verse number 33, Jesus said a parable, and this is what He said. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough." The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough. Now, do we understand this parable? Okay, this is the meaning of the parable.
What I would like to put over is Christianity is not as homophobic and it's not as straight-centered as people might think. There are all sorts of queer things in the Bible. There are all sorts of queer things in the stories about Jesus and in the prophets and woven into Christianity, and we miss them. And I'd really just like to think that all those people out there who've been told that they're not good enough for God, who God might not love them or they're going to hell, I really just want you to know that you are loved. You are known by God and made by God. And even if there isn't a God, which obviously I think there is, you are welcome in more churches than you would dare to think. So I'd like to think that this is great for me, but I'd really hope that someone out there might just think, do you know what? Christianity isn't against me, because no one needs another enemy. And everyone out there who reads Attitude or who struggles with their sexuality or is happy with their sexuality, you're glorious. So let's get on and be glorious. And God does not hate you.
A few years back, Christianity and the church would stand up and speak at evil, speak against evil, and make evil be known as evil. It got to a time people said, no, don't confront evil. Try and massage evil. Try and tolerate evil. Not even tolerate it outside the church, but tolerate it within the church. A little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and this is where we are now. This woman we just watched is an Anglican priest. Whoever ordained her as priest, I don't know. But listen to her say that Christianity is not against homosexuality. That Christianity has queer teachings within it. How did we get here? How did the church get here? That we ordain people who do evil, confidently do evil and boast about it. How did we get here? That we ordain them as priests. A little yeast, like Paul said, a little yeast will mess up the whole dough. It started little by little, small. Gradually, this is where we are getting to. We have even gotten there. When the church began to lower the standards, when the church began to see no evil and to hear no evil, when the church began to speak no evil, this is what has been the result. The church and the yeast. The yeast that Jesus spoke about is the sin of the world. And Jesus warned us, Jesus cautioned us, that if we allow the yeast, just a little of it will spread into the whole dough. Churches began to lower the standards. And this is the result. Today, church is ridiculed even by unbelievers, because what they see in themselves, what they see around themselves, they see exactly so in the church. And so the church has no respect in the eyes of the unbeliever. We are getting there, and it is going to get worse and worse and worse. Let's look at this. The Anglican Church has today voted in favor of blessing this kind of marriages in the church. The Church of England, that church that once was known for purity. This is where we are getting to. And don't be, that confident to say that, oh, it is that church. You don't know what your church is becoming tomorrow. You don't know the spirit that will take over your leader tomorrow. And we see the evidence all throughout, our daily lives in the church, because we see the church lowering the standards every day. Oh, let them come. Oh, let's welcome everybody. Oh, don't speak evil about them. Oh, don't confront what they are doing. We are all sinners. We are all not pure. So, we should try and just, involve everybody, bring everybody on board. Yes, Jesus brought everybody on board, but Jesus did not change to become like everybody. He made sure that everybody that came around him changed to become like he is. Why are we not making the people change to become like we are? But we are changing to become like what and how they are. This is what the church is becoming. Because of that little yeast we played with. That little yeast we played with. The church is messing up. Many years ago, when you took a dictionary and you looked for the meaning of a woman, this is not what you will find. But today, this is what you are finding in the Cambridge Dictionary. This is the definition and the meaning they are giving to who a woman is. So not too far from today and now, my children, your children, who will grow up with this kind of dictionary would have this understanding of who a woman is. We are not playing. The world is not joking. Satan is not playing. But it appears we are not getting the clue. We are not seeing the pace and the aggression at which Satan is working. We are too relaxed. We are too slowed down. The other day I posted something on my WhatsApp, and I said, I am hurt. And people called me, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes. But they didn't understand why I posted that on my WhatsApp status. I posted that when I got to know that the Anglican Church again in England has proposed to now define God as non-binary.
Twitter if you want. I reckon the devil would be thrilled with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who's now declared that their God is non-binary. Now we've got God is not the Father, God the Father. Jesus is not the Son. Nope, they're all non-binary, and we're all going to be, the Church of England is now going to be LGBTI. Slippery slope, hey folks. You were warned, and you chose to go with it.
That is it. They are contemplating on voting on it to declare God as neither a man nor a woman. And so even when Jesus had taught us that our Father who art in heaven, they said no, they are going to change it and say our parent who art in heaven. They no longer want to identify God as a man or as a male or as masculine. Why? Because the non-binary people they have invited to the church, they have entertained in the church, say that they are not comfortable with God being associated with one sex or masculinity or the masculine being. They want God to be defined as non-binary. And the church is almost giving approval to that. And when they approve that, they agree to do that, what they have decided to do is to edit the Bible, And wherever God is referred to as Father, they will change it and they will put parent. So the Lord's Prayer will then become our parent who art in heaven, just because of the little yeast we entertained. Parents are entertaining the yeast today in their families. Your little child begins to dance, and he is dancing to certain music and dancing, with certain moves, and you are happy. My son can dance, my daughter can dance. Oh, my daughter can sing. Oh, look at my daughter. You think it is child's play. Little yeast. A little yeast. I am so pained and I am so hurt. Paul saw it, Jesus knew it. So they said, get rid of that old yeast. I'll read it for you. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse number 6 and 7. Paul said, your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast works through the whole batch of dough? A little sin you are going to allow, it will permeate into the whole batch of congregation. Verse 7, it says, get rid of the old yeast, that you may be a new batch without yeast, as you really are. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. We are not commissioned or called to call people into Christianity, into the church, and then seek or attempt to please them by becoming like them. Search through the scriptures. Jesus was referred to as a friend of sinners. But Bible again said, Jesus never sinned. Rather, the sinners that he associated with became as he was. Who bewitched us? Who bewitched us? Bible says again in the book of Galatians chapter 5, verse number 7 to 10. Paul said, you were running a good race. Who cut you in and kept you from obeying the truth? That kind of persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. A little yeast works through the whole batch of dough. Again, Paul is talking about the yeast. That little entertaining, that little condoning, that little, tolerance. Verse 10, he says, I am confident in the Lord that you will take no other view. The one who is throwing you into confusion will pay the penalty, whoever he may be. And I want to say this to all the leaders, all the church leaders who are bringing in evil among the flock of God. Whoever you are, you will pay the penalty, as the Bible is saying. We are hurting Jesus. We are hurting the apostles. Some of them died for this word. They died for this message. They gave their lives for these kind of messages we have had all these years. And today, we want to say to them that they are foolish and they are stupid, that they wasted their lives in vain. You will pay the penalty if you are such. A little yeast will mess up the whole dough. Today, the message is pretty short. And if you can see in my demeanor and my posture, I am not too happy because of how this thing is working. But of course, it has to be so because it has been prophesied to be so. But like Jesus said, one of you must betray me. Yes, but whoever it is that shall betray me, you will also not go unpunished. Whoever you are that would allow yourself for Satan to use you to hurt the church, Paul says you will pay the penalty. I thank you for being with me today. God bless you, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
We're going to protect Christianity, and I can say that. I don't have to be politically correct, or we're going to protect it.